Kansas City, Omaha, Des Moines. I am there next week. Get your tickets soon. jfcomedytour.com. Today, I am so excited to tell you about a moment I had a few days ago that was truly a life before and after moment. I am dead serious. It was one of those moments where it's like the dam breaks and you have this realization and things just kind of shift for you. You only get a few of those in life. This does not happen often, at least not to me. And I had one of those moments the other day and it was so great. And ever since then, I have been narrating this podcast episode to you in my mind because I was so excited to tell you about it, because that's the specific kind of mental illness that I have, that as soon as anything happens, I imagine telling you guys about it on the podcast. So I'm so excited to talk to you about it. And it's related to what we talked about in episode 231, where I was talking about releasing your inner crazy talk. And at the very end of that episode, as usual, just some real gems in the last 5 minutes that 90% of people do not hear. I talked about this specific method, like, okay, how? I think a lot of us do sense we might have a few crazy thoughts rolling around in our mind, but like, what do you do? What are you supposed to do? And I went into detail in the last 5 minutes of the episode. I'm going to expand on that more today. I was a little rushed in the last episode as I was finishing it up. So I'm going to expand on exactly what it is, how I've been doing it, and how it led to this dam break moment where it was like, oh, this is what it means to let it be easy. This is how you get in a flow state. This is how you put the fruits of your prayer that you've been doing into practice. It was like the missing piece of the puzzle for a lot of things that I try to do in life. Like I would say, I need to do some affirmations. I need to say positive things to myself, blah, blah, blah. But listen, if you have funds, this is a very serious medical term that I made up in the last episode. And I'm telling, because we keep this podcast clean, I'm telling you guys the edited version. When I speak privately, I use a different first word. But on this podcast, we call it fired up nervous system. When I was in that fired up nervous system state, all of this stuff I would try to do: get in a creative flow state, be really connected in prayer and feel like I'm really, truly open to where God is leading me. Say affirmations that make me feel good. All of it. I mean, these are all great things to do no matter what state you're in. But when I was in fired up nervous system state, because I had all of these unprocessed thought fragments kind of building up in my mind, they just weren't as effective. And I just had this moment a few days ago where I was like, why does everything suddenly feel easy? Why does it suddenly feel like for once in my life, I'm not completely overcomplicating everything, catastrophizing about everything? And I was like, oh, it's because I've been doing this thing that I talked about on my podcast in the last 4.2 minutes of the episode that probably 6 people heard about. So I've been very, very excited to talk to you about this. And what perfect timing. I'm telling you, God's the real producer of this podcast. I mean, Caitlin is doing a great job, but God is the executive producer, and Caitlin's really the assistant. And I don't have much of a role here. I just kind of show up. But it is, I swear, God arranged all this timing because a lot of us are a little stressed out this week and in the coming weeks with the holidays. A lot of us have mixed feelings about the holidays. And this is coming out the day before Thanksgiving, or as people in other countries know it, Thursday. Yep. And I think, come on, you guys should all celebrate Thanksgiving. Like get on board, guys. But obviously here in the United States, a big holiday, nobody's working this week at all, but it can also be stressful. Now, I do know people, I truly know people that it's just, the holidays they're just a joy. From what I can tell, they have some infinite source of money And I'm always being kind of nosy. Do you ever, no, Caitlin wouldn't, Caitlin would never do this, I'm sure. Oh, well, like when I have one of those friends, they seem to, like, they never complain about money, but they don't work real hard. Like there's not tons of work going on and so I always, kind of like, yes, worked, has your husband got promotions? I'm always trying to figure out, like, what did you win something, or like, did you have like kind of a Daddy Warbucks, like, like an inheritance, Little Orphan Annie situation, or like, where are we getting the funds for this? Why do I see you in Europe every summer with your 7 kids? Like, what? Talk to me more about that. So anyway, that's just me being all up in people's business, and something that I could use this journaling practice that I'm about to tell you about today in greater detail to get over, so that I can focus on my own business and not be like, why are the holidays always so easy for you guys? Because you never worry about money. And then some people too, they just have perfect relationships with their entire extended family, from what I can tell. And these are Catholics that I know. So when we say extended family, we're talking like 70 people, are all coming over to grandma's mansion, and it's just, and they dance and they sing, and there's nobody brings up politics, from what I can tell, or everyone agrees. Someone brings up politics, but everyone's like, gosh, yes, we're so on the same page. So, some of us have none of that. Some of us have none of that at all. And we feel stressed out about certain holiday things. Like in my case, there's no, animosity at my family gatherings. My issue is just that my extended family doesn't exist. Everyone is either dead or never existed. So it feels apocalyptic. It feels like one of those, zombie shows where it's like, all right, we're the last ones left. We gotta stick together. That is a palpable thing that I actually talk about with my kids, how much we feel that. Like so we're doing, this is true. We're doing a big family Thanksgiving. The whole extended family is invited. My mom is coming over. That's it. There's no one else. My dad and Joe's mom and Joe's dad are deceased. My dad did not have siblings. My mother-in-law was not in touch with her siblings, and and my father-in-law did have a sibling. There was an uncle who was very much like a father figure to my husband, very, very close. And we were always like, well, your dad's gone, but at least we have him. And then he died of COVID. So there's no one left, guys. It's just my mom's siblings don't live anywhere near us. They're great, but they're not near us. So yeah, there are different kind of stresses with that, because Thanksgiving's all on me. There's no like, oh, well, we'll do it at someone else's. There's no, when you're the last survivor of the culture of death demographic apocalypse that hit your family, there's no one else to host Thanksgiving. So it's all on me. And you guys know how good I am at that. I had an actual meltdown. I think it was like 2 Thanksgivings ago. I am embarrassed by it. I feel bad about it. And I'm trying not to bring that energy to Thanksgiving this year, but I think I can do it now, because I had my life before and after moment of release. And this really was such a moment. I mean, really in your whole life, you probably have 4 or 5 of these max. And this was one of them. And it was very cool. And as usual, I go through all the ups and downs and then tell you about it to make your life easy. I let my life be a Norse saga and I learned all the lessons. Oh, wait till you hear what happened. Oh, do you think that my shows were normal and everything was fine last week? Ha 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 ha. I throw my head back in bitter Laughter. Welcome to the Jen Fulwiler Show. We get to the main topic in the second half of the show. This big moment I'm going to tell you about. As always, that will be in the second half of the show. In the first half of the show, I talk about different setup kind of topics. And this is the podcast where you learn the art of the village hustle. That is being a hot girl boss, or hot boy boss, who knows that love and family and community are the foundations for all true success. I am your host, Jen. I am a mom of 6, best-selling author, and stand-up comic. If your friend recommended this podcast to you and you're checking it out for the first time, welcome. And your friend probably is, occasionally like, I don't agree with everything she says. You should know that. I'm coming to you from Austin, Texas. What are the other things? Oh, yeah, I'm on tour. Kansas City, Omaha, Des Moines, Buffalo, Royal Oak, that's Detroit, basically, and Columbus. Get your tickets. And weeks ago, I should have announced, I remembered what one of the cities was. Philly is on the books. Virginia Beach is on the books. But the third city is still a mystery to me. We'll all be surprised together when I look at my email and finally find that confirmation and announce the city. The last 2 cities tickets are not for sale, but they are on sale for Kansas City, Omaha, Des Moines, Buffalo, Royal Oak, and Columbus. JF Comedy Tour is where you get your tickets, and Caitlin will play our fabulous jingle with the outdated graphic here on the YouTube channel.
She was dropped by her agent and manager on the same day. Iconic. Now she's entered her villain era, and she's back on tour anyway. Jen Fulwiler. Yes, gonna get dropped. Jen Fulwiler. But she just can't be stopped. Jen Fulwiler. This tour is gonna pop. Takes at jfcomedytour.com. jfcomedytour.com.
Speaking of me getting dropped by my agent and manager on the same day, if you ever wonder about that, if you would like to know details, if you would like to hear some unfiltered thoughts, not necessarily about that, but about, let's say, a financial deal that was truly terrible and that I posted screenshots of my Patreon. It has a lot of content. I do the Village Hustle Patreon, which is kind of my business and family balance secrets for how I make it all work. Everything I've learned about business, that sort of thing. That's the higher level tier. The lower level tier, you get after party episodes. We keep the cameras rolling after each episode, so you get about 10 minutes of like bonus material on the same topic as the main podcast episode. But the real thing is that no matter what level you join at, you do get access to all the archives as well as future state of the dumpster fire live chats where I chat with you guys live and I just yell in detail about these very annoying things that go on in my career. In the last one, I was posting screenshots of some money I lost and asking, for really a roundtable discussion of what is wrong with me that I get myself into deals like this. And that was very helpful to, figure that out with you guys. You get instant access to all of that when you join patreon.com/thisisjen, patreon.com/thisisjen. All right. Let us begin with, okay, let's go. There's so much good stuff to get into. Let's go into, Thanksgiving. I'm full of thanks. I'm full of gratitude because this year we do not have to do a turkey trot.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do.
I bet Caitlin had blocked it out because it's just so hard to imagine. My husband, well, this is kind of funny. When we were dating like 22 years ago, I remember we were thinking maybe about marriage and we were talking about the future. And he said, yeah, my vision would be like at the holidays, everyone goes out for a fun run. And we exercise together and then we come home and then we have the meal after we've done something active. And I remember thinking, I'm dead serious. I was like, I don't think this is going to work. I don't know if this marriage could work. And so he finally, after 20 years, he convinced us to do it. And I was trying to be a good supportive spouse. And this is how dedicated I am that I actually did it. Me. I actually got up at like 7 or 8 a.m. on Thanksgiving. and it was so cold. And yes, Texas cold, but it was, we've got some humidity around here, and there was a cold wind, and we go out, and I remember thinking, I said, you know what? I'm a fit person. I have a trainer. I work out with a trainer. So I'm just going to bang out this 5K, and you know what? Everyone's going to be really surprised, and they're going to be like, wow, Jen's more of a fitness person than I realized. Like, she's actually a really, she has an athletic side. She has an athletic side that we, didn't know about. And so we brought all 6 kids out. What's amazing is that my 4 daughters, all independently of one another, dressed very goth and refused to participate. And I was so proud of them when I saw them looking just completely gothed out, wearing all black, just sitting up against a fence, just huddling together and freezing. I was like, that's my girls. I'm so proud of them. So they went to sit in the car, and then my husband and me and our 2 sons, so we went to do the race. And so the race left from a high school parking lot, and you go around the high school almost in a full circle, but then it trails off a different direction. I mean, I guess I would say I held on really well with my commitment to showing my athletic side. I think I did a good job until they sounded the little gun thing for the race to start. And that's where it started to fall apart. As soon as I crossed the starting line, I was like, oh, I forgot. I hate exercise. The only thing I hate more than exercise generally is cardio. I used to think that I was a running person. Like, Caitlin's a running person. She goes jogging. And I don't know where I got that idea. But I'm 6 feet tall. All my height is in my legs. And so there's a real fulcrum situation with my knees. And there are, tangent alert, interesting tangent alert. Tall people have shorter life expectancies. I've said this before. I'm saying it again. Tall people have shorter life expectancies. Like, when have you ever gone to a nursing home and had, one of the very aged people there just towering over you? It doesn't happen. And it's not just because people shrink a little bit. They don't shrink that much. You don't go from being like a linebacker to like one of the munchkins in The Wizard of Oz. I mean, people only lose a couple inches with age. And but you don't see tall people in nursing homes. And as a tall person myself, I was curious about that. Like, why do I not get to live a rich, full life just because of my height? And what a lot of people think is it's because our joints wear out more quickly. And so anyway, so now, so that gets in my head, I'm like, running is going to physically kill me. And so so I'm done with the tangent. So now back to the race. So we couldn't have been more than 6 or 7 steps in when I was like, forget this. Forget the heck out of this is just verbatim. Forget the heck out of this. That's exactly what I was thinking. And but then there was my pride, and I was like, well, maybe I can do a 5K. But we were 5 steps in, and it was falling apart. And the organizers of the race, I think the mistake they made was that the race circled around that school, and then it went right by the parking lot where my car was, that my daughters had all warmed up because they were all sitting in there and living their best lives, scrolling their phones. And I was like, first of all, what geniuses are they, enjoying the warm comfort of the car, scrolling their phones? What a great life. And I'm surprised that no one else did this. I didn't see anyone else do this because it seemed like the whole race would end this way. But I just veered right off and I went right back into that parking lot. Now, here is the best part. This is the best part of the whole thing. They had locked the doors. And so, I knocked on the door. I'm like, hey, it's Mom. Like, let me in. And they got so excited. They're like, whoa, Mom. They're all applauding. And I was like, well, I am a pretty good mom. That makes sense that they would like to see me. But they thought I won. because I was back so quickly, they thought I won the race. And I did. And so I claimed that victory. I'm like, I won a 0.5K. Yes, that 0.5K was incredible. And I do feel like I won because I was the only one smart enough to go back to my car and be like, this is so stupid. I can't imagine why anyone would do this. Half my city was out at this stupid thing. And I'm like, man, y'all are some suckers. I'm going to sit in my car. I watched some of the best TikToks, and it's like they just hit on a whole new level. The makeup tutorials that I was looking at and all this stuff, because I was warm in my car and not out for a stupid run. So it is kind of sad for my husband because he does want to be a more active family, but so many of the kids got my genes, and so yeah, we're not even talking about doing the Turkey Trot this year. And it just fills me with such a sense of freedom and gratitude. And maybe, listen, friends, play the sentimental. We have sentimental music, little chicken soup for the Jen Fulwiler listener's soul. I know that you might feel stressed out about the holidays. Maybe you just found out that you are hosting Thanksgiving for your mother-in-law and 20 of her friends from her food allergy support group. And you're cooking for all of these people. And your vegan cousin is coming over too. And you put the tofurkey in the oven late, and you're feeling stressed out. I want to say to you, at least you're not running a turkey trot. At least you don't have to run around like you're a medieval serf doing the bidding of the king, just getting all sweaty and gross, like for no reason. At least you don't have to do that. That is a forever entry in my gratitude journal. That is a forever entry in my gratitude journal. No matter how hard life gets, I'm on a plane with turbulence, and I hate it. I hate that. And I'll be like, well, at least I'm not running a turkey trot. Like, what if I'd had to finish for some reason? I mean, I can't even. I couldn't have done it. Honestly, I just couldn't have done it. I thought about throwing myself on the ground just to be dramatic, but instead I just.
I just
went back to the car. Yeah, Caitlin would not have been surprised at all. By the way, this is just leading into the topic of the holidays and stuff. I don't know if you guys have seen these articles that are. So this is a new thing. Everyone's very. Everyone is very conscious of, as they should be, of. Global economic forces and making sure that it's, just for everyone. And so there have been a bunch of articles about Shein, Temu, all of these fast fashion brands, and a lot of questions about the conditions of the laborers that create these products. And people are saying that the young people don't care. Gen Z doesn't care about this at all, and they find that frustrating. And I think it's time to blame Santa. Because these kids are raised on a fundamental childhood message that there are all of these people in a distant part of the world who love working for a big fat white man for free so that you can have nice things. I mean, it's not helping us be globally conscious of wage equality. This messaging, maybe we just need to update the Santa messaging to the kids that, they're paid a fair wage. The elves went on strike a couple Christmases ago, and we could make it well, that is when Dad was out of work too. But yeah, the elves were on strike that Christmas. Okay. Everything was from the Walmart discount bin. But now they are paid a fair wage. So, well, yeah, that's what, that's what you should do on the Christmases that you're broke. Just tell your kids that the elves are on strike until they are going to be paid a fair wage, no more working for free. And so we as a family need to support the elves. I mean, we wouldn't want to have Christmas presents under the tree at the expense of the elves and wage equality. I think that's
fair
4D chess. 4D chess in parenting. That's my take on that, guys. Santa's that's why Gen Z doesn't care. And they keep buying from Shein. They're like, no, it's like the elves, you know? They love it. They love it. That whoever is creating this really nice looking blouse and making it a $6 price, I bet they have a candy cane in their mouth and they're dancing because that's how life works. My mom told me about this. I learned about this when I was a kid. So I had my new manager, who was awesome, has me doing my tour differently than I used to. I now do, when I can, 3 shows in 3 cities in 3 days. This makes a lot more just economic sense because I'm coming home with 3 checks that the travel comes out of, as opposed to just 1, and blah blah blah. And then I can see more of you guys, and I'm gone a little longer, but I get a lot more shows out of it. But it is, and this actually is related to the main topic. So I'm going to briefly explain to you what life is like when I do these shows, because it relates to not only what I'm saying here about the fiascos that happened, because I can't have a normal life. And if you guys think, a lot of Jen's problems are her own fault. That's true. I give you that. I live in a whirlwind of mostly self-created problems that ruin my life. I understand that. That's true. However, my life was also just kind of destined to be a Norse saga, because as you are about to hear what happened last week, this is nothing that I could have planned or had any part of. This crazy stuff just happens to me. So, let me explain the reality of 3 shows in 3 different cities in a 3-day period, because it also relates to the main topic, which we'll get to in a little bit. Okay, so I do love these runs. They're a lot of fun. I enjoy the challenge of it. But when I tell you I don't stop, there's no emphasizing enough the level at which I don't stop. So let's take the past weeks where, oh my gosh, where was I? I don't, well, okay, wait. No, Kansas City is next. I'm going to Kansas City, Omaha, and Des Moines. I was just in
Indianapolis.
Thank you. Gosh.
That's all I got.
St. Louis. Yes. Yeah. Leah Darrow lives there. You'd think that I could have remembered that. Yeah. Only, my friend who I talk to every single day. That's fine. Okay. St. Louis. Okay. So I head out to my show in St. Louis and I do my show. I always stay to meet you guys afterwards. And so it's great. I love it. And it does not drain my social battery the way other things do, because I feel like I know you guys, but I do have to be on, and I want to be present. And when you guys talk to me and you tell me things, I really give you 100%. I am listening. I hear you. And I genuinely care about every single one of you. So it's a little high energy thing. And it's not, you don't have to pay extra for it. When you come to my shows, I will stay afterwards and I will meet any person who wants to take a picture, have me sign something, whatever. Sometimes you guys give me gifts, and anyone can, and there's no extra cost. So I do my show, which is, that's a whole thing. And actually, even before that, I film these shows, and this is not optional. It's critical to my career that I get footage so that I can put it on YouTube. New people can find me, whatever. So I'm doing this myself. I set up my camera. I set up the audio. I make sure the audio is plugged into the sound guy's soundboard. I have a mic on myself as backup. I do all of that. I do the performance, and that's, it's a little stressful. And then I meet anyone who wants to meet me. I stay as long as you guys want to stay. There have been times when it took almost 2 hours to get through the meet and greet line, and I stayed. So we do all that. And then I go back to the hotel, and it is easy when you are a solo person doing, I do not travel with staff usually. I would like to, but the comedy millions are not quite here yet. So it is very important not to lose track of all of these audio files and everything. So I need to upload my footage. The other thing is this, and I'm telling you all this detail for a reason, stick with me. The SD cards that I use to record on are very expensive. So I can't have a ton of them because they're very expensive. So it is time is of the essence that I have to upload like a 30 gig file over hotel Wi-Fi so that it will be up where like Caitlin can deal with it and she and I can access it, and then I can delete it from the SD card so that I can keep filming. And when you're doing a lot of shows in a row, you run through the SD card. So this is not optional. It's very important that as soon as I get to the hotel, I start the uploads, I collate all the audio. This takes a while. So by the time I get to sleep, these are evening shows. So by the time I get back to my hotel, make sure everything is set with the uploads and collating the audio, and then actually get my butt in bed, like take off all of my drag queen show makeup, that I put on, make sure my outfit's set. Then I have to, kind of organize my hotel room. It's 1 a.m., if not 2 a.m. before I'm just done dealing with all that, upload social media. The other thing is I need to promote whatever tomorrow's show is. So then I'm on Instagram. Hey guys, come out to my show tomorrow, whatever. So that's a lot. The next morning, from the minute I open my eyes, I have to start moving. There is no, I'm going to be leisurely scroll social media. I have to start packing. So I pack everything up. Usually we do cities that are anywhere from 3 to 6 hours away from each other, because if they're any closer, then it can be hard to get enough of a draw to make the show make sense. So let's say it's 4 or 5 hours away. That would be typical. So from the minute I open my eyes, I need to start packing. And so I pack everything up, lug all of this stuff down to the car myself. I am my own Sherpa. I take everything. I have to deal with this myself. Often the weather's bad. It's snowing. It's raining. I'm putting, stuff in the car, and then I drive 4 or 5 hours. When I get to the new hotel, I do not have more than 30 minutes before I need to stand up again, get my outfit on, redo my drag queen makeup for the show, like just tons of makeup. Gotta look okay in these videos, and then head out, get to the club early enough that I can set up my camera, set up the audio, get the audio plugged in, do the show, meet people, and then all over again, do the uploads. And this is back to back to back to back. I give you all of this detail because, again, it relates to the main topic of how I learned really deeply to let things be easy. This crazy thought release process that has been such an aid to me. But it is also related to, so I am in the middle of that when, after the first show, which was St. Louis, I'm actually on the way to the St. Louis show. I had noticed when I first left the rental car place that there was a little bit of you might have low tire pressure, but it was also very cold and a cold front had just come through. So often the air kind of contracts or whatever. So that can trigger a little low tire warning. I didn't think anything of it. But by the time I got to my show, I was driving over to the show. The tire pressure should be about 36. It was showing the readouts on each tire. This one was at 15, which was ominous because that had gone down really quickly. So I had that in the back of my mind. I'm trying to do a performance here. And I will tell you in a future episode, we also had an issue that was entirely my fault where I feel like we're friends now. A gal, Corey, who had been to shows before, she double checked to see if babies could come to this event. I messed it up. I got the wrong information for her. She had a whole squad show up. Someone had a baby. It was resolved. I will tell you about that in a future episode. But there was a moment where I was like, maybe I'll just quit. Maybe no more podcasts, no more stand-up comedy. This is, I can't do this. This is too hard. And I just felt so terrible for screwing that up. But it was fine, but there was just that stress and whatever. So after all of that, performance, meet and greet, filming. Oh, and keep in mind, I have to break down my camera. And Caitlin has done this. It's a whole project. The lens is very heavy. It's, dealing with all this. Okay, so I get back in the car. Now the tire pressure is at 9. So it's basically flat. I called. Hit the sound effect. I can't believe I forgot. The last time I did a run like this on my tour, my rental car broke down.
Oh, yeah.
Listen, if you are not watching my Instagram stories, I say, how is this podcast free? How are my Instagram stories free? Yeah. You need to understand, I am a person who is on the Norse Saga life plan. There's always something insane happening to me at any given moment, and I have never not talked about it on Instagram stories. So I don't know what you're doing if you're not check it. If I were you, I would check my Instagram stories every day because there's always some craziness going on there. So those of you guys who saw that happened on a very recent, like one of these tour runs that I was doing, the car just broke down. That doesn't happen with rental cars. I had left my show in Nashville. I was driving home. It said engine issue, check immediately. And I hit the gas and just nothing happened. And the light started flickering and the engine was toast. And I had to deal with the whole thing, like waiting for the tow truck was not resolved till 1 o'clock in the morning. Same rental car agency. Cause I'm a glutton for punishment. Let's keep going back to them. So this time they gave me a car that had a not so slow leak in one of the tires. So I called them. Friends, in my whole life, there have only been 2 times that I yelled at a customer service person, and this did end up being one of them. But I'm always so good about that because I understand that this is not their policy and whatever. So I did say, I actually said to the guy, I was like, I'm not yelling at you. I'm yelling with you. I'm yelling in your general direction because you have to be frustrated about this too. So I wasn't like berating this guy because I understand I'm not talking to the president of Avis. But if I could, I didn't mean to say the brand. Sorry. I'm not really into calling out brands because I always, in the back of my mind, I'm like, it probably was my fault. Like I probably accidentally, I was like, give me the car with the slow leak. I probably did. But so whatever. I'm still using that brand because they don't make me stand in line. So, I actually like them a lot, despite what I'm about to tell you. So I'm on the phone with the customer service representative, and I said, okay, well, this tire is flat. What are we going to do about this? And he was rolling through the options, and he said, we can call out a tow truck. Oh, no, first of all, okay. He said, so it was very cold and raining. It was like 39 degrees and raining. And he said, okay, first thing I'm going to need you to do is look in the trunk, open the trunk, and there is a compartment that you can unscrew and take off and look. And I need you to see, he gave me a list of equipment. I need you to see if there's this kind of wrench and what kind of tire is in there. And I was like, how do you guys not know what's in your own car? Why am I on this mission of exploration to tell you about one of your products that you produced? Like, this doesn't make any sense. And again, I was like, sir, I'm not mad at you. This is just like the company policy that I'm venting about. But like, this makes no sense. And I was like, look, I am in my performance clothes. I'm a performer. I'm in my performance clothes. And looking back, I think I probably did make it sound like I'm a stripper, but because think about it. I'm like, listen, it's late at night. I'm a performer. I just got off the stage and I'm wearing clothes that I don't want to get wet. I mean, he's thinking stripper for sure. For sure. So he was probably like, all right, well, she's, so I was like, I'm not going to stand out in the rain to figure out what's in the car that you guys gave me. How is this not in a database somewhere? And so he was like, well, we can send out a tow truck, and he's like, then you can have it taken to a tire place to have the tire replaced, but you will have to pay for the tire.
What? What?
That's when I started yelling. And I did. And again, I was like, I'm not mad at you. It's the company policy that I'm mad at. But I was like, what the heck? I said, what the heck? Why would I be repairing the bad cars that you guys gave me? You know, like, why is this on me? And he was like, so then he read me the policy because they have that right up. He's like, well, of the waiver that you signed in section 3, you know, blah, blah, blah. He's like, you know, you can file a dispute in mediation that you think it was us who gave you a leaking tire and maybe it would be reversed. I was like, no, I don't think I know. I have a picture of it. Like from when I got the car, it said that there was low tire pressure. Like I know it was you guys. And let's pause to just reflect. I'm in the middle of 3 shows, 3 cities, 3 days. This is the first city. I have very grueling travel ahead of me. This is 11:45 p.m. that this is all playing out. Let's just keep that in mind. So he tells me that I will have to pay for the tire. I was like, let's continue to review the other options. What are the other options? And he said, okay, you might, if we have cars available, you might be able to exchange it for a different car. And I was like, yes, let's go with that one. And he said, okay, you can go. He wasn't clear if the place was still open, but I was like, listen, God doesn't want me to blow up the world. I'm manifesting that it's still open, so I'm going to head on over. And, you know, he was like, is the tire drivable? And I was like, it is now. We're heading on over. And so sure enough, I made it over and I got the last car that they had. Like if I had been a little later, I don't think I would have gotten, at least not that day, I wouldn't have gotten it replaced. And I had a 5-hour drive the next day. So it is an example. Okay, so we're veering into the territory of the big breakthrough I had because I had been doing the journaling practice that I'm going to tell you about that helps release funds, fired up nervous system, the term that I made up. I was actually pretty calm and I was actually not totally freaking out. And I was actually able to kind of trust God with this situation. And see, here's the thing. I believe in trusting God in all situations. I've read enough stories of like the saints and and why not? You know, he's the creator of the universe. Like I think that makes sense. But here's the thing. When your nervous system is jacked to heck, it's hard to actually put that into practice because your spiritual mind, your highest self, your highest level, you know, the highest level side of your personality is sitting there saying, you know what? God loves me and I believe in God. And so I'm just going to trust him to take care of me in this situation. But your jacked up nervous system, because you never journal and release thought fragments and pent up stress, is like, you know, it's like, we're going to die. You need to run. And it's sending you pain and it's sending you stress. And so it's like you are trying to do the right thing and be like, the Lord will take care of me. I'm walking with the Lord. But you can't because you haven't released all of this pent up tension that has built up probably, frankly, for years, decades. And so you are trying to really feel taken care of by God, but your nervous system is on freaking fire and it is constantly hitting the override button. It's like, this is no time for trust. This is no time for prayer. Like you are in trouble. This is a terrible situation and you're going to be so exhausted and your shows are going to be ruined and you won't be able to find your way off stage again. Sometimes the nervous system is right. But because I had been doing the funds release JournalSpeak method developed by Nicole Sachs, I was actually able to just kind of trust God and just be like, whatever, God will work it out. Can I control it? No. All I can do is get this stupid car, that has broken down on me yet again. Get it back to the rental car place. We don't know if they're open because this guy had conflicting information. He was like, you need to know, you might be headed over there and they will be closed. And I was like, okay, whatever. And by the time I got back to my hotel, so it was very cold, windy, rain coming down like crazy, like ice water rain. And I got back to my hotel at like 1:15. But I was actually in a pretty calm state because of what I'm about to tell you. So, and then the final thing, I'll make this quick. But was it in the last episode that we went through me not being able to find my way?
Yep. Yep.
Would you believe me if I told you that it happened again? Do I qualify for a support dog? Do I qualify for a service animal? I should. Play the video, Caitlin. Look at and be ready to pause it. Yeah. So here we go. Yeah.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
This won't happen again. No, I'm gonna get off the stage. Oh no! Here we go. It's that galloping sound is the slowed down cut. Oh, the door's not there. Ha 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 ha. Laughing at myself, but then look, I can't. Look, the door. Okay, the door is camouflaged. In my defense, JF on YouTube.com. This is episode 232 of my podcast. So, Caitlin, pull it back up and skip ahead to the part where I actually encountered the invisible door. This is what I'm dealing with. This is what. Look. Okay, come on. You can't even see a door there. But I pushed on the wrong side of it. If you ever want time to slow down to an absolute standstill, just not be able to, just don't find a door on stage. Leave it there, Caitlin, for a second. Don't be able to find a door on stage. And then when you do find it, press on it and it still doesn't open because you're pressing on the wrong side. With a group of fans, we established from something I said in the set, they're all podcast listeners. So with a group of fans who are aware of this disability and perhaps thought that you had overcome it. I mean, they're like, you see this guy, you see his head. He's just watching me like, how can this be? Like, what does she need? Does she need meds? Does she need a cane? Like what? Why don't they put arrows on the floor for which way to exit? Listen, just because I'm the only person it's ever happened to on either one of these stages, I just feel like for the Americans with disabilities, there should be a wheelchair ramp and there should also be arrows going off the stage. I'm just saying, this is insane. This isn't even my fault at this point. So that was, okay. So I brought you into all of that just so that you see the high potential, the high tension that I am dealing with when I do these shows. Listen, when the comedy millions come in, when I don't just have 2 viewers on YouTube, now I've got like 400 viewers on YouTube. I mean, when things are really taking off, don't ever let it be said that I didn't earn it. This is very hard work that I do. And I love it. I'm not complaining. That's one of the ways that you know that you have found your blue flame, is that even the hard parts, you feel like you're cut out for it and you almost like it in a way. That's one of the signs that you find that you found your blue flame, that with anything that you're putting out there, that you're doing, that you're creating, there will be hard parts. There will be parts that you're like, I wish we could skip this part. I wish I could skip my rental car breaking down for the second time when I need to get some sleep and it is midnight and there is a cold, bitter, driving, windy rain outside. That's, we wish we could skip that. But even in the moment, I was like, I'm kind of cut out for this, if we're being honest. There are a lot of people who probably would struggle to deal with this, but I've got to be top 2% of people who are actually fine with dealing with this. And that's how you know you have found your blue flame. By the way, another thing that has been very helpful with all of this is on the Village Hustle Patreon, I have talked about how I keep my travel organized and how I use Notes app to organize my travel, and it really keeps me on my game. So join the Village Hustle Patreon and get instant access. I forget which episode that was, but it was
66.
How does she do that?
Because I'm doing it.
Well, but still, I'm recording it. I'm also doing it. And I don't know. She's like, those guys who they're called mentalists. They're like magicians because they read your mind. That's like Caitlin. Whoa. Are you serious? Is it really? Yeah. Okay. Patreon.com/thisisjen. That's Jen with one N. Patreon.com/thisisjen. See if Caitlin's right. Go join. Episode 66, I guess, is where I was showing you my cute aesthetic Notes app. Like here's how I do my travel organization that I got from Riley J. Smith, the TikToker. But that also helped that my little organization system keeps it very streamlined so that there's not a lot of wasted energy. Okay, so anyway, so now patreon.com/thisisjen, episode 66.
Yep.
Wow. All right, instant access when you join. So I'm always interested in productivity, flow state, things like that, because I always feel like this is something that we who have village mentality should care about, because one of the salient features of living a life of village, of community, is that you have less time than other people. You have less time than the influencers who are like, here's the secret to productivity. Here's my Google Calendar. And your main takeaway is, wow, you have no responsibilities in life at all. Like literally just 24/7. You can just craft your life to be whatever you want it to be. And that's not a good life. That's not it. People in America think that that's like something you should aspire to just not have anyone depending on you for anything, to never be interrupted. Your house never gets messed up. Your mindset never gets messed up. Nothing is messy. They want like museum life where everything is perfect and dead, frankly. But that's, so most of the advice that you hear on stuff like that is from that perspective. But I'm always interested in the idea of productivity, especially of flow state, because I know that you guys have so much to give with your blue flame. You guys tell me what you're into a lot with the gifts that you give me. Like someone gave me a whole suite of, what's that the kitchen thing?
Pampered Chef.
Yeah, Pampered Chef. She gave me a whole bunch of Pampered Chef stuff, and she said that's my blue flame. I love just kitchen stuff and hooking people up with the things that are, best for them. And someone else said that she's writing a novel. She wants to do young adult, like fantasy, that kind of genre. But here's the thing, but she has a bunch of kids. And all of you guys, you're going to have to learn how to be really efficient, how to get into that creative flow state. Even if you're not doing something traditionally creative like painting or writing a novel, even if your blue flame is like just, you have a ministry where you visit nursing homes and just chat with people because you're a great listener, even then, you don't have the same amount of free time as other people because you're living a village life. So that idea of being unblocked, of being in a flow state, the reason I'm so obsessed with it, and I'm always talking to you guys about it, is because being good at that is really the only way to use your blue flame in a village life. For the gal who's writing her young adult novel, because she has kids, she's not like Stephen King. Like if you've read his memoir On Writing, this dude had nothing to do except for write like 10 hours a day. I've read Dean Koontz, who I love. I love and respect Dean Koontz. And he just had a different life setup where he was able to write. It's something like 4 hours in the morning, and then he'd take a break, 4 hours in the afternoon. Great. God bless him. He's a good Catholic guy, interesting guy. That's the life that God gave him. But that's not the life that God gave the rest of us. The gal who was talking to me, she doesn't have 4 hours in the morning and 4 hours in the afternoon. And so she is going to need to get unblocked quickly when her kids are actually asleep for their nap. So let's play again. I played this video many episodes ago from Stephen Is it Kotler, did we decide? Stephen Kotler?
Kotler, yeah.
Stephen Kotler has a really interesting video that you can look up on flow state. If you search YouTube for Stephen Kotler, Kotler, on flow state, it's so interesting. But this is him pointing out just how much more you can accomplish and do and put out there if you are in this state where everything's easy. You're not blocked. You're not overthinking. You're not overanalyzing. You're not letting fear drive your life. You're just flowing. You're just unblocked. Let's take a listen.
Counts for significant progress, major paradigm shifts, usually a flow state at the heart. In business, we have some of the most compelling data. So McKinsey, the global consultancy, did a 10-year study, and they found that top executives in flow are 5 times more productive than out of flow. 5 times more productive is 500% more productive. Means you could go to work on Monday, take Tuesday through Friday off, and get as much done as your steady state peers. Interestingly, 2 days a week in flow, you are 1,000% more productive than the competition.
So, like, I don't care about this from a corporate perspective, like, oh, you can help your corporation make more money, like, you know, whatever. I care about it from my village people having a voice in the marketplace of ideas. That gal I was talking to about her novel, I am so rooting for her to write the next massive blockbuster bestseller and have people with our perspective who will do themes that we find compelling and interesting, to have us be part of the marketplace of ideas. I'm such a big fan of me making many millions in the entertainment industry. And whatever your blue flame is, maybe you make rosaries for people or whatever. I want it to be big. I want it to have an impact so that there is more of our worldview out there in a culture that desperately needs it. But here's the thing. We have less time than other people. And so we are going to need to learn how to let things be easy. We are going to need to learn how to get into that just unblocked state so that we can be, like Stephen Kotler says, maybe like this gal, let's call her Sarah, the one who's writing the novel. Maybe Sarah follows a writer influencer, a novelist influencer who talks about how, he writes 6 hours a day and you're never going to make it if you don't write 6 hours a day. Well, he's probably really blocked and has a lot of fears because he doesn't listen to this podcast. But Sarah does. So she's going to learn how to get unblocked and be in a flow state. And so she will be able to do more in an hour with her writing than this guy does in 6 hours. And so she might be able to, make a lot of money and have an impact through her writing with simply being unblocked. Okay, so how do we get to that place? If you're stressed about Thanksgiving, if you're using your blue flame or whatever, where everything's easy, here's the big insight. What I have come to realize is that the work that I needed to do to get out of chronic pain is the same work that leads you to be unblocked just generally. The same kinds of those, built up thought fragments, those emotions that I had not processed, they were responsible for my years of debilitating chronic pain that sent me to so many ER visits that probably, looking back, led me to take a lot of antibiotics that I didn't actually need to take, that very much jacked up my system and that I'm still kind of working my way out of. The chronic pain that I see a lot of you guys having, it has the same root as just that feeling of being blocked, that same feeling of writer's block when you sit down at a blank page. I think that the same mechanisms are behind those blocks as they are behind the aches and pains that, suddenly, when you get out of bed, it's like your whole body aches. I don't think that's just age nearly as much as you guys give it credit for. I think it is this. I think it's funds. I think it's jacked up nervous system. I think it's, your nervous system being completely out of whack because you don't release these unprocessed emotions. And I think that learning how to do this will really not only get you out of whatever pain you might be in, you'll be shocked. I promise you'll be shocked, but it will help you just be able to get your stuff done, be able to use your blue flame. So, I'm going to play one more clip before I detail the process, which is really, it's very simple. But so this is interesting. So I was listening to Nicole Sachs' podcast, which is my new obsession. It's literally all I do in my life is listen to her podcast. I'm so obsessed. So this gal, Kimberly, she is a mom of 4, and she was telling a story that to me seems like such a God thing. Where Kimberly was, so she had encountered Nicole Sachs casually, and Nicole had a retreat, and it's for this process of learning JournalSpeak and learning how to get yourself out of pain and that sort of thing. But Kimberly didn't understand that. She thought it was a spa retreat. So she went and was so upset when she first got there. She's like, I don't know what this stupid, like, talking about journaling is. This is not what I signed up for. And she was actually planning to leave. But then she was like, all right, I can't leave right now. I'm already here. So she sat through one of Nicole's sessions. Listen to what happened next. Listen to this clip.
First day, I didn't get everything out. The second day, I'm like, go for it, Kimberly. I got everything out. I cursed my family. I cursed my husband out. I cursed my job out. And I did feel guilt. I'm like, oh God, you're a very angry person. But you know what? The more I did it, I was like, no, this stuff's been inside you. This doesn't mean you're angry. This is just thoughts. It's just feelings. You don't mean it.
Yes.
You got to get this stuff out. Nicole, my week at that retreat was the first week, I think, of my entire life where I had no chronic pain symptoms.
Amazing.
Nothing. We are now 2 months out. I'm off every medication. I know this is going to sound like a miracle story, and I do know how this happened, but I don't take stomach medication. I don't have migraines. I don't have back pain, neck pain. I don't need to go to my chiropractor. I was going to the chiropractor 3 days a week and getting hour-long massages. I don't do that anymore. I have nothing. When I get upset.
So that was Kimberly. So I forgot to say also, she had been in debilitating, non-functioning, massive, life-ruining, like consuming her whole family's attention, like really bad situation, chronic pain. And through this JournalSpeak stuff and just getting that out, it's just gone. It's just gone. She feels fine. And here's what's crazy. Like, I had that moment with just feeling stressed generally. I've had that moment before with pain when I discovered the Dr. Sarno, Nicole Sachs. I've actually known about that for a little while, but I had this similar moment. You heard Kimberly getting choked up, where I was just like, oh my gosh, like, I can let it be easy. And this is how, like, I've always been interested in that subject. Like, I see how now. I see how to get in a flow state. I see how to actually really trust God, like with my whole body and my whole system, and not just give lip service to it. And this is a cool little bonus for the Catholic Ghetto. As I was listening to that episode with Kimberly telling that story and saying it felt like a miracle, I saw a billboard. I was driving from Indianapolis to Chicago, and I saw a billboard that said, Saint Dymphna is praying for you. It was not advertising anything. It wasn't like, hey, this is, we're raising money for the Saint Dymphna Foundation. It was just, Saint Dymphna is praying for you. Done. So I Googled, guess what she's the patron saint of? She is oh boy, wouldn't that be great if I had prepped the show? Oh, no, I did. Saint Dymphna. She is the patron saint of people with mental illness, neurological disorders, and emotional distress. And I randomly see that as I am listening to Kimberly talk about how, like, learning this process was a miracle. And I realized, like, it does really feel like a miracle, and how, it seems very clear that God sent her to that retreat, like tricked her into going to that retreat. And seeing that Saint Dymphna thing was really like, yeah, it is so cool how God can work through, like, he does create miracles. It might not just be the snap of the finger situation that you sometimes hear about. Maybe the miracle is like you listening to this podcast episode, or me, doing whatever it was that got me to refamiliarize myself with Nicole Sachs' podcast. And by the way, that was episode... Oh, I forget. You can look it up on YouTube. We'll have a link in the show notes. But that was, again, we'll link to Nicole Sachs' podcast, and you can look up the episode with Kimberly. But so that moment that Kimberly describes is what occurred to me when, after all of this, so my moment that happened was after all of this, I was at the airport. And, after the 3 shows in 3 days, flat tire, can't find my way off the stage. I messed up and told someone they could bring a baby, and then they couldn't bring a baby. I mean, it was a lot. And I get to the airport, and I felt physically terrible. I felt truly physically terrible, but I always do. I was like, you just feel bad. You just do. After that kind of grueling effort, it's just the way life is. And okay. So then I found out that the flight was delayed 5 hours. I'm finally trying to go home. A blizzard hit Chicago.
Oh,
so it's like massive blizzard. So cold. The feels like temperature was 16. Plane couldn't get out of there. It's delayed 5 hours. So I did the JournalSpeak process. Oh my gosh, I'm not going to get to it till the last 5 minutes again. Okay. The lesson is, next time I bring this up, I need to make it the whole episode, because I can't just hit you guys with it, or else you won't do it. I have to explain why it matters. But then we're in the last 5 minutes of the episode. Okay. Well, so I'm at the airport, and I was back to, feeling really inflamed, achy. I had a really bad backache, headache, sore throat. I felt extremely tired. I felt blocked. I felt frustrated. And then the big thing is, us moms know the concept of re-entry, where, when you come back from a vacation, it's this re-entry is a really difficult combination of, you are coming back from a trip, and so your family needs you more than ever, and you have less energy than ever to do anything for them. And that is what re-entry is, where you just feel that like, oh, I love you guys, but I can't. I'm so tired from this trip. I have nothing left to give. And so I was dreading re-entry. So I was like, all right, I'm going to do JournalSpeak. And I've been doing it every day, and it had already helped me on this trip. And once again, very late in the episode, JournalSpeak is this. The way I do it is, again, developed by Nicole Sachs. Just do her classes, read all her stuff. But the way I do it is, I do a brain dump of everything that is stressing me out, even small things. I read back through that list, and I just see, like, when I read back through it, there's usually some things that stand out as like, okay, yeah, that's kind of stressing me out. And it is often the tiniest things. It'll be like, the gate agent seemed annoyed with me. Like, that should be the least of my problems, but for some reason it really bothers me when I look back and see that on the list. So you really do this thorough dump of the tiniest things that have stressed you out. You find the ones that stand out to you, even if they shouldn't. And then here's the key part. And Caitlin and I were talking about this after the last show. This is so key. The way I write it that helps me really go there is I will start the subject. Okay. The gate agent seemed annoyed with me about this subject. My thoughts are telling me. It is so important to do that phrasing, because if I just said the gate agent is stressing me out, here's what I think about that, all of the madness that would come out of my pen after that, I would block it, which is the whole problem. I would not let that stress come out. I would not let those emotions flow through, because they sound crazy and they're not my real opinion. And so I don't want to put my own stamp of approval, so to speak, on that kind of crazy talk, because it could lead to, let's say, like in my case, I have some issues with just, feeling like I'll never fit in, and people don't like me, and they hate me, and they think I'm worthless, and they think I want to die, just because that was very specifically said to me by bullies in junior high every single day. That kind of thing can come up. But I don't believe that anymore. I really don't. But sometimes those thought fragments do still get caught in my mind. And as we talked about in the last episode, they will ping the nervous system with signals of danger. The gate agent seeming annoyed with me, even though she was not rude, it was just a vibe I got. But something in my mind connected it to these thought fragments of my you could say inner child. I know it sounds hippie, but it's like just some thought patterns that you used to have that because they are associated with trauma, they're still there a little bit. And I don't want to say I'm worthless and no one likes me, because I really don't think that. So it would be hard for me to write that. But what I can write is my thoughts are telling me. My thoughts are telling me that I'm worthless and nobody likes me. And so it's just all of these irrational emotions that have just been stuck. They've just been stuck. And one of the reasons they have been stuck is because it felt inappropriate to acknowledge them. Because again, I'm a grown woman. I don't want to sit there and write about how I'm worthless and people are going to abandon me, because that's stupid and I know better than that. So I suppress them. But the name of the game with Nicole Sachs' JournalSpeak process is to let those irrational, silly, crazy emotions surface and just let them flow through. And so it's a very targeted journaling practice. That's another thing Caitlin and I were talking about, that journaling can sound really dumb, that people think it's like, dear diary, dear diary, I ate a sandwich and it didn't taste good. Yes, that's a waste of time. I would never like that. That does not serve you at all, I don't think. Think of JournalSpeak as it's like an archaeological dig. It's like an archaeological dig. You have a very targeted, very specific goal of the treasure that you're looking for in this archaeological dig is thought fragments, is emotions from kind of your inner toddler, irrational emotions that you have not let out because they're crazy or they're inappropriate or they're just kind of tough, or it's just, you just don't want to feel that. And here's the thing, they move through very quickly. This is not about perseverating on bad things that happened. It's not about victim mentality of like, so-and-so hurt me and meh, meh, meh. It's not about that at all. It's about acknowledging, all right, so my thoughts are telling me that this reminds me of something that so-and-so did in your past. And my thoughts are telling me, I hate so-and-so. So-and-so is the worst. Like, I hate them. You let that emotion come up, you let it out, and then it just moves through. And in fact, if so-and-so is a person still in your life, you actually feel more positively about them because you just got out, you let your inner toddler kick and scream and have the temper tantrum of saying, I hate so-and-so. Let's say it's Bob, and you actually like Bob a lot. Bob is great. When you do your JournalSpeak practice and you let your inner toddler say, you do the, my thoughts are telling me, I hate Bob, I wish Bob would die. Like, it's crazy. Again, you have to let yourself be crazy. So that's what my thoughts are telling me. And then you get it out and then you breathe a sigh of relief and you're like, okay, all right, wow, temper tantrum over. Okay. And just like after a toddler kicks and screams and throws their temper tantrum, the storm has passed and they feel better and there's peace and there's clarity. It's the same thing with you. And that's what this JournalSpeak practice is. Again, it's a very targeted journaling practice that is like an archaeological dig where you are trying to find these hidden things and unearth them and bring them to light. And as soon as you bring them to the light of your the light of your conscious mind, as soon as you bring them to the surface, you will find the emotion releases and it just releases. Like that woman, Kimberly, in the clip we played from Nicole's podcast. She had almost like an instant healing from doing this, of just letting out. I loved how she said, she was like, I cursed my family, I cursed my job, and she let it out. Does she actually dislike her family? No, not at all. She was saying many times in the podcast, she loves her husband. She loves her family. But there were some thought fragments. Her inner toddler had to kick and scream and throw a temper tantrum about some stuck thoughts that were in there. And so in her archaeological dig, she unearthed a whole lot of stuff. And then you know what? Her pain went away. She got off meds for all of these like unexplained chronic pains. And by the way, I did find that is Nicole Sachs season 3 episode 55. It's really worth listening to. Season 3 episode 55 of Nicole Sachs Cure for Chronic Pain podcast. So as I'm sitting there in the Chicago airport, after all of this, my flight is delayed by 5 hours. And I feel terrible, physically terrible. But I was like, well, you always do after, that's just how it is on tour. So I did 20 pages of JournalSpeak, single spaced pages. Guys, I know that people were looking at me like, what is going on? Like, is like God beaming something? Like, how is this woman? Like, she's just writing and writing and writing. I did 20 pages. I did it in my iPad so that I can just hit delete. That's another thing Nicole talks about. You do not have to review this. You do not have to keep it, burn it, set it on fire, hit delete. It's all about release. This is not about holding on to anything. 20 single spaced pages. And again, it was stuff like the gate agent seemed annoyed with me. Okay, there's something there. I'm sensing in my archaeological dig. Oh, there's a skull. Okay, that's not just dirt. We found something here. So my thoughts are telling me, and I went into all that, and I just went through my little stressors of, I got lost going to my gate. Doesn't seem like that should be a big deal, but there was tension there. All right. What are my thoughts telling me? My thoughts are telling me, you're so stupid. You can't handle anything. This is like you not being able to get off the stage. There was something there. So I journaled all that. I went through all of my stressors, 20 single spaced pages. You guys, I sat there at gate 9, terminal B, no, terminal 1, section B? Doesn't matter. Okay, so, I sat there at gate B9 in Chicago O'Hare Airport, and all of my pain was gone, and all of my stress was gone, and I was just in this place of like, I totally trust God with whatever happens here. God is with me. I felt closer to God than I have in years, because because I wasn't suffering from funds, because my nervous system wasn't screaming terror at me from all of these unprocessed thought fragments that had accumulated from my crazy trip, because all that had been released. I could actually feel God. I could feel God with me. And it was like, you know what? I'll get home when I get home. And here is the bonus part. This is crazy. Reentry is always hard after that. Your family really needs you, and you don't have a lot to give because you're depleted. I actually came home to a pretty tough situation. There was something going on that was very difficult. It was very difficult, and it was a very triggering, in the classic sense of the word, situation. It was very hard. And I breezed through it in a state of calm. I gave everybody what they needed from me. I was like, we have all night. Just because my flight was delayed 5 hours after 3 shows in 3 cities in 3 days, where I had babies that I accidentally invited to the show that caused a huge problem, cars breaking down, stuck on stage. I am fully present for whatever you need. And the situation got completely resolved. If I had not done those 20 pages of JournalSpeak, I am telling you, that situation would have gone off a cliff. And that is not speculation. That is 100%. That is 100%. That situation would have unraveled, because it was just a tough situation for me. And I'd been through so much. I had not been sleeping well. And it would have, to be honest, we're recording this a few days later. I actually think I would still be dealing with the fallout from it, because I would have escalated and not reacted well and not been equipped to deal with it. As it was, everybody went to bed in peace and calm. My house was peaceful. My house was calm. And I realized as I went to bed after that trip, I was like, I just learned how to let it be easy. This is what it means to be in a flow state. This is what it means to really be able to sense that God is with you on a visceral level, not just an intellectual level, but a visceral level. This is what it means. This is what it means to be fully present in the present moment. All of this is made much more possible and much easier when you calm down your nervous system. And how do you calm down your nervous system? By releasing the thought fragments that are buried and are pinging your nervous system constantly with messages of danger. When you release them, they stop hitting your nervous system. You don't have funds anymore. And suddenly you're like, oh, there's God. He's right here. And I don't need to remind myself of that intellectually. I just know it viscerally. And you're like, oh, yes, no, I have time for that. I don't feel like I'm in a hurry. Sure. Yeah, let's have that difficult conversation on a really hard subject. Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, sure. No problem. So, heading into the holidays, Thanksgiving week, if you have ever listened to anything I say, just try it. And if you're not much of a writer, maybe do it with voice memos. I don't know if this works or not. It might. Try it and just delete the voice memo when you're done. But you can do it handwriting, you can type, it doesn't matter. But just list your stressors. For each one that seems to be something there, say, my thoughts are telling me, and then go. Just let it. Do not filter. What are your thoughts telling you? Let it take you to crazy places. Let it take you to places so crazy that you're like, I just hope I don't have a heart attack and die before I have a chance to delete this, because if anyone ever saw this, it would completely change what they think about me as a human being. You are about to be free from a lot of stress and pain. A lot of stress and a lot of anxiety and a lot of pain if you can get to that point in your journal speak. So again, full credit to Nicole Sachs, Sachs. This is her method that she developed. All of the stuff that I'm talking about, I got from her. And that was just a crazy moment when, after that whole rigmarole of a tour schedule, I went to bed that night totally peaceful, totally confident. Oh, and another bonus is I had to get up extra early the next day for one of Pammy's cheer things. And normally I do not get up for anything the next day because I'm so wiped out. I can't, like, I'm about to die. I just can't. But Pammy really wanted me to do her hair for a cheer thing. Of course, I would not skip that. And I woke up the next morning. Normally I would have been losing my mind. I would have been like, I'm so freaking tired. Like, I'm so tired. I can't do this. I'm about to have a nervous breakdown. Blah, blah. Instead, I woke up like, oh, I got enough sleep. I can take a nap later. This is fine. And I was totally in a great mood with Pammy and, chatting with the other kids and telling them about how the tour went. It was just bliss. It was just peace and bliss in my house. And it was all because I learned to let it be easy by getting rid of funds and releasing my stuck thought fragments that were sending subconscious, insane danger messages to my nervous system. So, all right, it wasn't the last 5 minutes of the show that we got to the journal speak process, but try it, guys. Thanksgiving, this is the time. This is the time. If you're hosting Thanksgiving and you're stressed, I'm telling you, listen to your friend Jen. I would not steer you wrong. It's like, change my life. You got to do this. Join the Patreon as a way to say thank you. You're like, Jen, you changed my life. I'm not even going to look at your content. I'm just joining your Patreon. Patreon.com/thisisjen, and we will be back with you next week here on the Jen Fulwiler Show.